Hi class, we're going to make bechamel. I have here 2 cups of milk. And I'm going to put that in a pan. I've got some blonde roux that I made in a previous video. I've got about 1/4 of an onion diced up. It's going to go in. That's going to flavor the milk a little bit. I'm going to add 1 bay leaf. I'm going to add 1 sprig of thyme. Nice healthy sprig. A pinch of nutmeg. And a pinch of white pepper. Be careful with white pepper. It tends to be pretty strong. All right, I'm going to turn the heat on here. We're going to bring this up and we're going to get it slightly warm before we add the roux. All right, I'm going to bring this around over here so you can see a little bit better what's going on in the pan. So that should be good. All right. I'm going to whisk this up a little bit. So bechamel, essentially milk plus roux. Not too exciting on its own. It's a mother sauce, and it's one that we will turn into, in the next video that I'm going to do, we'll turn it into Mornay sauce, which is bechamel base plus Parmesan and Gruyere cheese. So you get a little cheese in there, it's nice. This bechamel can also be used as a base for things like macaroni and cheese. You can add a variety of cheeses to this and make a pretty good sauce. So I need about 2 ounces of roux here. So I'm going to estimate that. I believe I made about 4 ounces here, so it's going to be about half of what I've got. So that'll go in. I can always add a little bit more if I need it, but I think that will probably do it. I'm pretty sure. So you saw I added that roux after it had cooled slightly. The roux wasn't piping hot off the stove, and the milk wasn't boiling. The reason for that is the starches in the roux, in the flour, will gelatinize at the boiling point, and they'll gelatinize rather quickly. So if I add my roux to a boiling liquid, what's going to happen is those chunks of roux are going to go into the boiling liquid, and they're going to gelatinize on the outside very quickly, and they'll lump. So what I want is I want to get the roux into the liquid well before the boiling point, fully dissolve it, so when it starts to gelatinize, it'll gelatinize evenly throughout the liquid, and I'll have a nice smooth liquid. This is going to get strained anyway, but I want to make sure that it doesn't have lumps. I think that's a good procedure to follow no matter what you're thickening with roux, is get it incorporated before the liquid boils and then bring it up to a boil. And you have to bring the liquid to a boil to get it to thicken. So the roux's in there, it feels like, oh, it's not thickening at all yet. I've got a little bit of bubble starting around the edge. As you can see that this approaches the boiling point, it's going to get, it'll start to thicken up. So don't worry if it's not thickening. It's got to boil first. Just remember, whatever liquid it is that you're thickening has to come to a boil to thicken. I haven't added salt to this because I'll usually add salt at the end. All right, starting to boil throughout, and you can see it's thickening. This is feeling about right to me. Hopefully you can see that well. I don't want it too thick, and I think that that's probably a mistake that students make early on in their sauce making, is they get these sauces that are so thick they hardly flow. They're more like a solid than a sauce. So slightly thickened is always better than too thick. All right, that looks perfect. I'm going to turn this down, and I'm going to let it simmer for just a minute, just to kind of get the roux fully engaged, fully incorporated, cook out a little bit of that floury taste. It shouldn't taste too floury because I cooked the roux itself, but we want to make sure that it is fully blended and simmered a bit. We get the flavor out of the onions and the bay leaf a little bit if we simmer it more as well. All right, that's bechamel. On the next video, we're going to take this, we're going to strain it, and we're going to turn it into Mornay sauce.